From the Times Center in New York City, City University Television, in association with the New York Times, presents a TimesTalks series with editors and writers of the New York Times. Today's presentation, Cole Porter's Classic.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carol Olson Day of the New York Times, and I am delighted to invite you to sit back and enjoy this exciting Times Talks. And tonight we are delighted to have on our stage the director, choreographer, and the stars of the Roundabout Theater Company's new production of Cole Porter's classic, Anything Goes. You know them, of course, from their many Broadway hits, whether as director, choreographer, including the recent revival of Grease, Pajama Game, and Wonderful Town, or as the stars, creating such indelible roles as the MC in Cabaret, Millie in Thoroughly Modern Millie, and of course, Princess Fiona in Shrek the Musical, among many, many others. They each have won their profession's highest accolades, the Tony Award, in addition to Drama Desk, Outer Critics Circle, and Astaire Awards. And one of them is one of only 8 actors ever to have won an Oscar and a Tony for the same role. I'll leave it to our moderator to tell us more about their exciting Cole Porter musical, now in previews and opening on April 7th at the Stephen Sondheim Theater. Not only is our moderator the chief classical music critic of the New York Times, he is also an accomplished pianist. In addition, he's the author of the New York Times Essential Library, Opera, a critic's guide to the 100 most important works and the best recordings. Among other great Broadway talents whom he has interviewed for the Times Talks program are Angela Lansbury, Stephen Sondheim, and Patti LuPone. Earlier this year, he conducted a 2-week project to select the 10 greatest composers ever on Earth, which involved a series of articles, blog posts, and videos, some of him performing at the piano. And the series concluded with an article in the Arts and Leisure section last January. The debate goes on, so be sure to check out his list on nytimes.com to see if you agree. And now, please join me in welcoming our moderator, Anthony Tomasini, and our very special guests, Sutton Foster, Joel Grey, and Kathleen Marshall.
Welcome to everybody here, and welcome to our distinguished guests. And I think I want to start by boasting a little, because on Thursday night, when a lot of people were at St. Patrick's Day parties, I was at the wonderfully named Stephen Sondheim Theater, enjoying Anything Goes. I knew it was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be that good. It's amazing. It's one of the most exhilarating nights I've had in the theater in a long time. Now, my first question is, do you know this? Are you aware that you have a good show? Because you're still in previews and you're changing it. How's that going? And do you want to start?
We've only been in previews for about a week and a half. We started previews on March 10th. And I think I'm very much still in the work mode. I have blinders on. Our opening is April 7th.
Right.
And I'm so thrilled that people are enjoying it, and the audiences have been incredible and so enthusiastic. But all I can seem to focus on is what I want to continue to work on.
Right.
But I am enjoying it. This has been one of the greatest experiences of my career thus far. So, yeah.
Are you still fiddling in a major way with things? And
minor way, but tweaking things. I mean, the last element you add in the process is the most important element, which is the audience. And they, especially in a comedy like this, you really want to make sure that they are with you and not necessarily ahead of you. and not behind you. You know, so you sort of feel like, I think most of the things we're doing now are just little tweaks to sort of either speed things along or clarify things or focus things in a good way.
There's some interesting aspects of that because there are things in this play, in this musical, that were done a long, long time ago by odd and interesting people, and they're in the script. And they're...
I mean, in the book. Actually,
Yes, they're in the
yeah,
book.
Yeah.
And we found that there were certain things that they said to do that they did that didn't work for us.
Right.
But they were in the script. So we ended up cutting them.
And John Wyman and Tim Krause, who did this adaptation, have been wonderful in sort of helping us to kind of make it fit our cast.
Right. This is essentially the version, though, that they did in '87, I believe it was.
Yeah, in terms of that, it's that basic book and those basic songs.
Right.
But again, we've had little things that have been tweaked for us, and we have all new dance music, all
Right.
new dance arrangements that David Chase has done, and new orchestrations for those dance music. That
Right.
dance music.
And new
by Bill
dance
Elliott.
steps.
New dance steps, yes.
Lots of them.
Yes, yes.
I get to watch.
And do a few.
You do well,
Yeah,
some
you
stuff
do.
too.
I got a few.
Yeah, no, you do. You do. It brings up a question about these old musicals and the problems with the books. You know, the original books, and that they don't work anymore, or whatever, or if that's true or not. But this one has been through several, even basic elements of the story have over its history, I think, in different versions. But how do you all feel about that? Do you feel these shows are hopelessly dated or something, or flawed because of the original books, or is the gist of the gist of the story is essentially there? I think it's the way it was in '34.
I think it's a show that was the original creators who created the show in 1934. You know, they were showmen,
Right.
whose aim was to sort of delight and entertain and transport an audience.
Right.
And in a way, we have that sort of same goal. And I think that a lot of the humor is remarkable. How it's sort of there's some jokes
Right.
that are the same jokes from 1934 that still land today.
Yeah.
I mean, I think hopefully we've done a little sort of weeding and trimming so that anything that was sort of cringeworthy has been sort of excised. But I think what's amazing is that with the company of actors we have, what I admire so much about Sutton and Joel and our entire company is they're all incredible performers, incredible actors, incredible singers, incredible dancers, and they take their comedy seriously. Everybody up there is sort of playing a real person, and there's all this sort of, you know, silliness that happens, but everybody's treating it all seriously, you know, like a good farce that has sort of excitement and danger to it, and some kind of emotional reality to it. And so what's wonderful is that even amidst all this sort of craziness, I think that hopefully there's a spine of reality that drives it forward. And I think as long as you treat these characters like real people,
Right.
and not like cartoons, that an audience hopefully will go with you.
Yeah.
Really, the actors and musical theater performers I really respect all say there's not that much difference between comedy and serious drama. There's a little timing, it's a little nuance, but you can't
have
be
to have
in
a
on
sense of humor.
Yes,
Right. That's the key.
Yeah. but that you're not in on the joke. You know, that if you're in a comedy, that you're taking your character seriously.
You're telling your truth.
You're trying.
Right.
Right.
There's a perfect example of what's going on with that Kathleen was talking about. There's a joke in Act 2 that probably came because there was a big radio show in which they said, calling all cars, calling all cars, calling all cars, right? So we have something that sort of refers to that. It's about a card game, right? We're playing poker, and I say, excuse me, strip poker. It's a good show. And I say, do you call pants? You call pants?
I call pants.
Calling all pants, calling all pants. This is the biggest laugh it's ever gotten. You're all hired.
One reason we like to mix the critics from other fields up, although I'm a big, as you can tell, musical theater fan, is that we ask things that other people in the field might not. Like one thing I want to ask our two singers here is about singing and how this, do you think of yourself as an actress who sings or a singer who acts, or is there no difference? And how does singing, just the act of singing and the technique of it, and play into your artistry? You know?
Well, I hope to think of myself as an actress first and foremost, because without that, singing, dancing, all of it's meaningless.
Right.
So whenever I approach any type of song, I immediately attack the lyrics. Well, what am I trying to say, etc. But the technique of singing is something that is, it's a very intense. I have to lead a very intense lifestyle of constantly taking care of myself. If I wake up with a sore throat, it's like dun dun dun, you know. So it's like, oh God. So and I want to be at a certain level every night and really protect that, so that I can do everything that I want to be able to do, and that the acting or other things aren't compromised.
Right.
Before.
Did you study singing very seriously and have?
As a young person, I would torture my family with singing around the house, and then I began doing community theater, but I was never formally trained until I moved to New York, really, and now I take lessons.
And you still do?
Yes, I still do. My voice teacher came to the first preview to, you know.
I wasn't supposed to tell you.
I know, but she called me, which was horrible. I was like, don't tell me, I'm freaking
She's so
out.
crazy.
I know, she called
She's
me.
really a genius.
She's amazing, and so, but yeah, it's like any muscle, so you have to constantly take care of it.
Joel, I have the same question for you. Do you the same question? Do you
Well,
think of yourself
I
as
never
an actor?
sang. I never thought I would sing or dance when I began. I always thought of myself as an actor. I thought I was going to be a character actor like Jimmy Cagney or Laurence Olivier, please God. Those were my heroes. And I don't know, just something happened, and I needed to get on the stage, and the only thing there was something where I had to sing, and it was terrifying, and I wasn't very good. And then I became sort of successful. Then I went back and learned how to do what they were coming to see me to do.
But because of, in your whole career, the majority of your work has been dramatic acting in films and television, more than musicals. Is that my, I mean, you're known for so many milestone musicals, but you've done a lot of just straight acting, you know, as they call it.
I guess so.
Yeah. But you must really think of yourself as an actor who sings.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
But you sing so well. You must.
You're very kind.
And it must be great to be back in a musical again. You know, like the.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
When we're getting ready and we hear that overture,
Right.
it is sensational. I mean, there's no way you can't wait to get on the stage with that music, that Cole Porter music, and played with such intensity and verve and sense of humor. And all the people who worked on our show were just the best that you can get. That was Rob Fisher,
Right.
who sort of oversaw the music, and he's just great.
Right. The transition from, you started as a choreographer, and it does seem to me, we were talking about this a little bit in the green room, that it makes sense for a choreographer to direct a musical, because there's a fluidity about, that I think should be in musical directing, that isn't always there, but there certainly is in the shows you've directed, and this one too. Is that something conscious? Do you think like a choreographer, even when you're staging just scenes that involve talking?
Well, you know, it's interesting, especially in a show like this where it behaves like a farce. There's so many people who come and go, and there may be a scene where, you know, unlike a lot of musicals where the book of a particular scene may involve 2 or 3 characters, or maybe one character enters into the scene and one other character leaves partway through, but it involves, you know, a small handful of people. And this show is very unusual in that you have people coming and going all the time, and they may enter and exit multiple times within one scene. So one of the first things I did is sat down with Mark Rooney, who's associate director and who's worked with me, who's incredible, and has worked with me on many shows.
I like him so
He's
much.
Great. He's great. And we just kind of sat through and we plotted through everybody's entrance and exit through the whole show in terms of who's coming on and because it's all about who sees each other and who doesn't see each other and what they're doing off stage before they re-enter the next time. Just sort of kind of just orchestrate it all in terms of that. So I think that was really sort of helpful that when you have a director and choreographer, you have to pass the ball back and forth.
Right.
And I love that sort of relationship. And when you have a good relationship with a director, you can kind of say, all right, where do you want them to be by the time the song starts, or where do you need them to be for the scene following the song, and kind of pass the ball back and forth. But the great thing about being able to do both is that you can kind of just get your team together and figure it out for yourself, how you're going to navigate all that blocking.
The movements of just some of the scenes are just so dance-like. I mean, it's. But in terms of dancing, my goodness, holy cow! The show, the first act closer, the anything goes number. My goodness, there's, as you know, it takes place on an ocean liner, and there are 3 tiers of tap dancers, and wow.
And led all by this one. I mean, that's the thing, is that I don't think there's ever been a Reno Sweeney who doesn't, step aside,
Right.
sing the song. And the thing is that what's incredible at Sutton is there's nothing that she can't do. So she leads, she sings the entire song, she leads the entire number, and then when everybody else at the end of the dance number is like, she comes back in singing.
She sings
and
another
sings stronger
one more
than
time.
than ever, and I mean, it's unbelievable.
And she turns around and faces me and goes,
I do.
No, but you're like,
I turn up stage and go, and then I turn back and I'm like, yeah. Like,
no, but
piece of
see,
cake.
you're like an Olympic athlete. You're just
she is, you're right.
astonishing.
I know.
It's great.
And we have a company of actors and singers. Let me just talk about the dancers.
Yeah.
They are amazing.
Yeah.
We have, and they are, I don't think I've ever been in a company that was as friendly and loving and supportive of each other ever. And I've been in 2, 3, 4, 5.
The great
Many.
Yes, many. And they're just, nobody is jealous or out to kill anybody. Like, well, they're the theater is very tough. And I think the thing that sustains them, because it is very, very taxing, is it's so rewarding. I think they know they're going to go out and they're going to knock their socks off.
Right.
And they have that, which gives them energy, right?
Yeah, truly.
But you were just saying to me that this is the hardest show you've done, the hardest
Yeah,
role.
definitely. Hardest role I've ever
Even harder, some of you probably remember a show called Thoroughly Modern Millie, which was an incredible, demanding role. But this is harder?
I think so. It's just, it challenges me on every level, physically, vocally. I'm so out of my comfort zone. It's a character unlike of any I've ever played, and it's just been the most challenging and the most rewarding, truly. It's my first real revival, and that poses its own challenges as well. But it's been incredible to work with Kathleen and everyone as we've defined this version for ourselves, and my version of Reno Sweeney and this production. And I've never danced like this, ever. But my parents are very proud because of all of the dance lessons that I took as a child. And, but my mom actually had a note for you. She's very concerned that the tap dance number is too long. And she was worried for my safety
Right.
and my health. And she was like, you tell Kathleen that I was worried that when you get to the end, I knew you were going to still keep singing. And because I was concerned, I was like, Mom, I'm good, I can do it.
But when this was first proposed, did you object at all? Said, no, I can't do that? Or you just
No, I
jumped in?
actually my first instinct was, oh my gosh, yes, I want to do it. And then I got really scared.
Right.
And then I was like, yes. And I got really scared. And then the reason I decided to take it on was because I was so scared of it. And I thought, well, that's a perfect reason to try to tackle something.
Right.
And it's been an incredible challenge, but an amazing journey, and it's been awesome.
This brings up, you've mentioned now a couple times the heritage of this show that has this history and stuff, and you can all speak to that, but that must be double-sided. I mean, and it's inspiring.
Oh,
your
incredible.
role was created by Ethel Merman.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it must be intimidating, and
Yeah.
with all the different versions that there have been and stuff. And
I stayed kind of naive to it all. I never listened to anything. I never. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it ended up being a good thing, and because I was afraid it would totally freak me out,
Right.
and I would try to like emulate or be Ethel Merman or be Patti LuPone as opposed to trying to bring myself to the character. And but yeah, the intimidation factor was huge for me at first, and not till like recently did I really feel like she was in my bones and in my skin. But that's just part of the process.
Did you feel the heritage of these songs, the heritage of the role as a challenge or as an inspiration? Same questions.
Well, to sing Cole Porter
Right.
is pretty wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no question. And even to be in a show where you hear
Right.
Cole Porter all night. I mean, Easy to Love and DeLovely,
Yeah.
and I get a kick out of it. I mean, you stand there and you start to think, "Whoa, this is a nice place to be."
Right.
Yeah, the music is
Yeah.
beyond. The score is so incredible.
Right. Again, when we were backstage, you were saying if you had to pick your toughest show in the musical theater, it was George M.
George M. Cohan, yeah, that was demanding because it was so fast. There was never ever time to catch your breath. And I was not a tap dancer. I learned to tap to be the greatest tap dancer in the world.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Yes. So I had a solo in the first number, All Aboard for Broadway, and I was supposed to be the cockiest kid you ever saw, right? It was so difficult. It wasn't just a solo.
Joe Layton, right?
Yes, it was very cloggy and Irish, and it wasn't just tapping. It was really hard.
Right.
I would go downstairs under the Palace Theater and practice that solo every single performance
Wow.
before going up.
Before? Wow.
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 And it's scary because once you start a ritual like that, you can't stop it, right? Once you
That's so true.
once you have some kind of ritual thing, then you think, if
Yes.
I don't do that,
Right, oh, right.
something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't.
Do you feel like you're settling into your rituals at night? I always feel like once a show is in performances, I try not to be backstage at all. You know, if the overture starts, I'm like, oh my God, I got to get out of here because it's your world now. You know, I belong on the other side of the.
But you got to
we
play all the
will-
parts in the first place.
Well, we like seeing you backstage. I always hate it when after previews and everyone, I get like separation anxiety because you've got your director, your choreographer, and all the people, and then they leave
Yeah.
once the show opens, and it's
No.
so don't.
I know.
Please visit.
I went backstage and I was just coming down the stairs and Kevin was like, you know, in one of the stairwells, like warming up, you know, vocally, and I was like, oh, I felt terrible because I found your private warming up place before the show. 'Cause everybody sort of, you know, finds their little
Yeah.
pocket of and their little ritual and their little pre-show warm up, and I feel like I have to get out of there because I can't I don't want to mess with that. You know, everybody has their.
I have like
Your
I
routine.
have a time. I have to be doing something at a certain time, so I'm always looking at the clock.
Yeah.
And if someone's in there, I'm like, you have to leave. 'Cause it's on 2. I have to be on the floor like stretching or
Yeah.
Or,
Hello, are you dressed?
that's what he does to me every day. And usually I'm butt naked. I'm like, Joel Gray. I'm like, what's going on?
So far, unless I'm missing things, you primarily worked in theater.
Me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's obviously your first love. I mean, do you but the routine must be. I mean, if you make. I mean, Joel, I'm sure could speak to this, but movies, as I understand it, take weeks, months, but then you have big break if you're a film actor. But the routine, like, in Shrek, weren't you in the full 2-year run of that show?
Shrek only ran for 1 year. The longest run I did was Millie, actually,
Millie,
which
yeah.
was 2 years.
2 years, right?
I'm a bit of a workaholic and a bit of a perfectionist, and I love the opportunity. I love the opportunity of being able to, you get another crack at it the next day,
Right.
and so that's like so exciting. And I feel I love the theater. I love being a stage performer. I love it. I love it.
Lucky for us.
Speaking of, so obviously you respond to the audience and respond to the live situation. I just want to plug, if I can, a new record that I love, An Evening with Sutton Foster, live at the Cafe Carlisle,
Yay.
which maybe some of you saw her last summer.
Last summer.
And this was recorded in the final, and it seemed there what really comes through is that you are so happy to be in this intimate relationship with the audience at that place.
It was awesome. This whole last year, I spent this concert in particular. I took a year off from the 8-show-a-week grind, and traveled around the country doing concert work with my music director, Michael Rafter, and that was incredibly rewarding. And oddly prepared me to be able to play Reno Sweeney.
Right.
To learn how to be a,
Club chanteuse.
Exactly.
Can I ask, in my field of classical music, I don't often meet people who've won Tony Awards and Academy Awards, but I'm wondering, this is just a kind of movie fan question, but winning an Oscar assures your identity, like I mean, as someone who thinks about writing obituaries of people many, many, many years from now, when yours is written.
What is going? Thanks, Tony.
Many, many years from now, when yours, it will no doubt the lead will say Oscar-winning actor. But so that is settled. I've heard different stories from people. Did that achievement, did it really impact your career? Do you think? Did it open up things that you think that you might not?
And closes a lot.
You're kidding, really?
Yeah, there are parts that they won't even think of you for that you might want to do.
Because you're so well known?
Yes, because you're so well known and they think you're unattainable. And I just read recently that Halle Berry, after she won the Academy Award, was almost 2 years before she was offered anything she liked.
That's funny.
But in other ways, it opened up
does,
opportunities?
It doesn't hurt.
Where is it?
You'll
Where's
get one.
where's your Oscar sitting? Is it in your? Is it here? Or?
Actually, they picked it up today to take it to the Museum of the City of New York. Is doing a retrospective of my work, so it's not in my house anymore. That is where it is.
Did they come in an armored car and?
They
take it?
did.
Yeah. Brinks
so
men?
fancy.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the Cafe Carlisle, I understand that all the songs were, if I remember the story, it was filmed in Germany, the cabaret songs from the movie Cabaret?
Yes,
Yeah,
everything
it
was
all filmed in Germany.
done in Germany.
And that, I think I remember you saying at the time that for the audience that was there, for the filming, that you performed them in German once, and then also and then in English mixed in with a
We
little.
translated all my introductions into German because they were German people in the extras in the club. And when it was time for me to leave, I was finished. They came and they said, Joel Gray is in German, Hatsche, Fatsche, 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 is going back to New York. And they said, why? And they were kind of angry that they thought I was one of them. Right. And they felt betrayed, and I felt terrible.
But what a
Oh my
compliment.
gosh! Yeah, what a
That's a wonderful
compliment.
compliment,
So
though.
cool.
Can I talk about a couple performances and works of all of yours that have meant a lot to me? I was one of the very lucky people to see Anyone Can Whistle at Encores. With Sutton Foster. Was that your first Sondheim?
First Sondheim, first Encores.
First Encores. Wow, I mean, that must have been, everything about that production, and it was almost like a full production. The dancing was wonderful. It was, what I loved about it, it was everybody involved it was as if they were saying, look, this show supposedly doesn't work, supposedly it's a flop, supposedly it has problems, we're going to show otherwise. We're going to really, was that what it was like? I mean,
Yeah, we just like embraced its flaws,
Right.
and that's the wonderful thing that I love about encores is that you're able to put on productions that and everyone in the audience is just accepting
Right.
that let's honor this show.
Right.
It was incredible, the whole experience, and we did 5 performances.
Right.
And you have like a week and a half of rehearsal or something, and then you do 5 shows.
Right.
But it was exceptional.
Yeah.
Did you go see it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know these things.
And working with he was
We didn't know each other.
No, but now we do.
and he was very involved.
Yes, Stephen was there. I belted in front of him. He was this far away from me during rehearsal, and I was singing trumpets. And
Right.
he was sitting at a table, and all I saw was him go. I'm like flop sweating. I'm like, oh. Yeah. But I think we got along okay.
I was there for the Saturday matinee when they had the talk back.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
And he came out, and the first question was, "So how old are you?" They were because there was such international celebration for
Totally.
his 80th birthday. It seemed. A show of yours, Joel, that meant so much to me was Chicago, playing Amos and Mr. Cellophane. Like in a way, that show is so crazy, so frenetic, so aggressive in its intensity, and that song, that character and that song, we center the thing. I mean, that was my take on it. That it's like what a relief, to kind of
Something human.
something.
Right.
It's like human scaled and poignant and.
Good. Well, that was a very interesting thing at Encores in that Walter Bobby had worked with John and Fred to contain it a bit and not do the version that Fosse directed on Broadway. And it turned out to be just the right amount of cutting and making it a theatrical adventure without sets.
Right.
And when they transferred it, they thought, well, nobody's going to pay just to see an orchestra on the stage and actors, walking around.
Right.
Well, they were wrong.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
There's sort of similarity in character to Moonface, I think, and that character. I mean, he's in this version anyway. He's so kind of sweet, the public enemy number 13.
Yeah.
He's kind of vulnerable and you don't.
I'm a gangster. It's fun. It really is fun. I think that some of these numbers that I would never believe Cole Porter wrote, like the Bluebird.
Yes.
And the Gypsy and Me seems to me like Noel Coward. And Be Like the Bluebird is Sigmund Romberg. I don't know what it is. But there's a number of No Place Like Travel.
Yeah.
Those are
Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. The Bluebird, I mean, if those of you who haven't seen it, he's in prison with
Colin
Billy.
Donnell.
Bill, yeah,
Billy.
and
Colin Donnell.
and trying to cheer him up, and he sings this song about a bluebird. And I'm thinking of certain shows that are being talked about a lot that are tad overproduced, shall we say, that have been in the news lately. I mean, if
I don't.
but if you want to see a simple, beautiful stage effect, there's nothing but a blue light.
Yeah.
Just a blue light just comes down and it kind of on the floor and then flickers on your hand, and it's a bluebird. It's because of the song, I think, and the way you sing
It
it.
took us a while to figure that out, though.
We're still figuring it out.
Still figuring
Yeah.
it out. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
But
The
even
first
just being
time I
around
heard him sing it, I cried. It's just magic. You're welcome.
And so now, will you not be content to just do choreography any longer, or is it now that you've done both? And
You know,
She's got twins. How old?
10 months old tomorrow.
wow,
This is the first
Yeah.
big thing she's
Yeah,
done.
little Ella and Nathaniel. They've come by to visit a little bit.
They have.
They're so cute.
Ella's in love with Joel. She's like,
And Joel's in love with it.
But you know, it's just a privilege to get to work, you know, with the people that I get to work with. I mean, I can't believe we called all these people and they said yes. Sutton, Joel, John McMartin, Jessica Walter. You know, I mean, can't believe all these people who came. Adam Godley, who's British, doing his first musical on Broadway. He did.
And Colin Donnell, who is
He's
a
tremendous.
great new young leading man on Broadway.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Really unusual and straightforward and masculine and funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really
It's just
a
great.
find.
We
I
can't,
think.
and our ensemble of singers and dancers who are all, I mean, any one of them could carry a show on their own. It's like an ensemble, a cast of all principals. I mean, they're just
That's what happened with the
astonishing.
Chicago too. All the
All
chorus
those- yeah.
dancers were stars.
stars. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Could you do the opposite now and just do directing? Do you think of a...
I don't know. I might be too much of a control freak. Although, you know what? I have to say that if it was, you know, there's some kinds of choreography that wouldn't be my strength. You know, if I was doing something that was very sort of modern or very sort of, you know, contemporary in a way that was sort of not my strength, I would certainly want to work with somebody else and do something, you know, like that. And I think it's that would be the challenge to sort of, you know, work. How do you guide a choreographer in terms of making the show feel unified when you have multiple takes on it?
It brings up something that about the attitude toward tradition and toward heritage. You know, you in the choreography and in all the performances, it evokes this other era. You know, 1930s musicals and all kinds of old styles of dancing. And there's a way, I think, today doing those things. You have to find a mix between paying homage to them, yet making a little fun of them and having fun with it. You know, not being able to poke a little fun at it. At the end of Friendship, which that whole routine is part of. I don't want to give it away for you for when you see it, but that whole routine of trying to end it, you know, is a joke on theater. You know, it's a joke on it's a little inside joke, but it doesn't.
We're glad you got it.
But I think that's key. I think you have to sort of approach these musicals with a great deal of respect and affection, but you also have to sort of make it work for a contemporary audience. And that doesn't mean doing anything anachronistic, hopefully, but just bringing, I think, you know, just our cast brings their own contemporary sensibility to it. And you have to sort of hopefully have this sort of illusion of authenticity. And I think that's in every aspect, in the design and in the costumes and in the wigs, that yes, it looks like a perfect, you know, 1930s world, but it's also, we need to make it, you know, look attractive to a contemporary audience. So, you know, if the hems were maybe exactly there, but you know what, if that doesn't look good to us today, let's make them where they look attractive. You know?
Right.
And I think that our designers and, you know, Marty Pakladinas and everybody are very sort of aware of making everybody look great by today's standards, even though it's a period
Except
show.
for me. Comic relief.
Yes,
No, but Joel was very essential in creating his whole look for his character. I mean, we
Really?
met
Yeah.
for a long time, you know, sort of talking about all the sort of possibilities and what ifs and making his Moonface Martin unique and make it fit him. You know?
Right. I mean, it seems to me, I mean, that would be essential for a director to draw on the qualities of the cast that you have. You know, to is that what happened here?
Yeah, I mean, you think, you know, you have a sort of blueprint of an idea, but you know what I always say, I'm not going to do it 8 times a week. They got to do it 8 times a week.
Yeah.
So it has to make sense for them, and that's kind of the wonderful thing in rehearsal is when people bring in ideas and say, well, what about this and what about that, and what that can lead to. You know?
Are you still during the daytime when you have the schedule of performances? Are you during the daytime still rehearsing? You're still going to the theater to rehearse?
Yeah.
2-3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that will continue right up until it opens.
Yeah. I mean, there's a certain point where you know, the expression freezing the show, where you freeze the show.
Right.
And you sort of don't make any more changes. And it was Ethel Merman who was some show, I can't remember what show it was, Call Me Madam, where she famously said, you can call me Miss Birdseye, honey, because this show is frozen. She was like, at some point, At some point, she was like, "No more changes. That's it. This is the show we're doing."
Yeah.
So usually about maybe a week before your official opening,
Right.
you sort of freeze the show and stop making changes so that everybody can kind of just really just be comfortable with what they're doing.
Right. There's this whole tradition now with all the musicals, as you know from all your work in encores, but that that there are even songs added to it from other shows, like Friendship is from Du Barry Was a Lady, and in classical music, there's this whole thing to an opera to get at the authentic original version and stuff. But I think all of the creators from shows of the 20s, 30s, and 40s would laugh at such an attitude, because Cole Porter would say, well, if we're doing another production, who's in the cast? I mean, we might want to jiggle songs around and do all sorts of things differently. That is in the tradition, I think.
Yeah. No, it's funny because Sutton said, she just wanted to sort of create her own thing. And of course, I did the research to look at all of them, and and listen to all the recordings. There are multiple recordings. There were 2 movies done, one in the 30s and one in the 50s. There was a TV version of it with
Burt Lahr
and Frank Sinatra and Ethel Merman, where Ethel Merman very conveniently got rid of Hope Harcourt. She sort of combined the characters. She played Reno Sweeney, but she was marrying Lord Evelyn, and Billy was in love with her. She sort of became all. Yeah.
That's fabulous.
It was hilarious.
I like that.
And then you realize that all these different versions.
You're giving her ideas.
I know.
And all these different versions have nothing in common except for they all take place on a boat.
Right.
And they all have You're the Top, and I get a kick out of you.
Right.
And
Anything goes.
Anything goes. And and that's all they have in common.
Well, as I said, I have heard some versions where it's just frenetic, but partly because you have this elaborate tap dance, finale, that it would sort of ruin the mood of that dance to take it faster than the tempo that you have. I think it's.
Well, it's one of the things that David Chase, the dance arranger, and I kind of decided early on about that number is that unlike other numbers in the show, like De Lovely or Blow Gabriel, that we were going to basically. The entire thing was going to be basically at one tempo from this, once we start the chorus and the dance, rather than changing. A lot of times you change tempos within a dance, you speed up, you have different sections, you have different moods. That there was something just about the sort of relentlessness of just one tempo throughout the dance and the return vocal, and it's hopefully a sense of breathlessness that we just never stop until the very end.
Yeah. So now that makes sense to me that you thought about that, because it's so organic. I mean, in a way, the whole show feels organic, but that whole routine, that whole number feels organic. I mean, the obvious thing would have been to sing the song slower, and then now we're going to dance and speed up the tempo a lot, but it's more.
We tried that, actually. I feel like that's the way we started. Where the tempo was originally slower for the vocal, and then we ended up matching it, and it makes it more seamless.
But it is wonderful. Boy, oh boy, it's wonderful. We have, so it's getting close to 7, we have a surprise, I think. Did the announcer say that we're going to have some music here right now?
Because there's a piano over there?
Yes, because there's a piano over here, yes. That was probably a giveaway, you're right.
Some microphones.
And some microphones, yes. We don't do this enough at TimesTalks because performers aren't so generous and willing to perform, but Sutton Foster and Joel Grey are going to perform Friendship, which, as we said, was actually originally in Du Barry Was a Lady, but has just become part of Anything Goes way back. Also, the other connection is that Ethel Merman introduced, was the original Reno Sweeney, introduced Friendship with Burt Lahr in Du Barry Was a Lady. So.
And Lucille Ball sang it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, with Ethel. And,
Ethel
yeah.
Mertz?
Ethel Mertz, yeah.
Yeah, on the Lucy show, one of the Lucy shows, yeah.
The other.
Good name.
The other Ethel, but we have David Gursky is the associate conductor and pianist from Anything Goes, who's coming up.
Awesome.
Could you set up the scene a little bit?
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
you want to yes. Please, you want to set it up, the song, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I play Moon Martin, who's pretending to be
A minister.
a minister.
And we're friends. We just ran into each other on the boat.
I used to come around to the club where she played
Right.
all the time.
And we go way back.
Way back.
And one of the major themes of the whole show is friendship.
Yeah, we like
Because
that.
of what we do for each other and the value of it. So we sing a little song about it.
Shall we?
Yes.
Okay.
Reno. We should have teamed up. Oh my God. We should have teamed up years ago.
We're two of a kind, all right.
Yeah. Partners.
Through thick or thin.
Night or day.
Right or wrong.
If you're ever in a jam, here I am.
If you ever need a pal, I'm your gal.
If you're ever so happy you land in jail, I'm your bail. It's friendship, friendship, just a perfect friendship. When other friendships have been forgot, ours will still be out. Lot of dig, dig, dig. If you're ever down a well, ring my bell.
If you ever catch on fire, send a wire.
If you ever lose your teeth when you're out to dine, borrow mine.
It's friendship,
Friendship, just a perfect blendship. When other friendships have ceased to gel, ours will still be swell. Lot of hip, hip, hip.
If they ever black your eyes, put me wise.
If they ever cook your goose, turn me loose.
If they ever put a bullet through your brain, I'll complain.
It's friendship, friendship, just a perfect blendship. When other friendships go up in smoke, ours will still be oak. Lot of goof, goof, goof. If you ever lose your mind, I'll be kind.
If you
Wait a
ever
minute, is this
lose
on?
your shirt, I'll be hurt. What?
If you're ever in a mill and get sawed in half, I won't laugh.
It's friendship, friendship, just a perfect blendship. When other friendships have been forgate, ours will still be great. If they ever crack your spine, drop a line.
If they ever cut your throat, write a note.
If they ever make a cannibal stew of you, invite me to.
That's so mean. How can you say that? Oh my, did you hear what she said?
Blendship.
When other friendships are up the creek, ours will still be slick. Lot of chuck, chuck, chuck.
Quack. I thought we were gonna do chuck, chuck,
No,
chuck.
we do quack, quack, quack.
No, we had
Like a
talked.
duck.
No, I don't want to be a duck. We said we were gonna do chuck, chuck,
No,
chuck.
I like it.
No, we do dig, 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 goof, goof. When other friendships have been forgot, ours will still be hot.
I love you at your hat. I love you at your hat. I love it.
That was
brought
great.
his-
Thank you so much. As if Joel Grey doesn't have enough to do in this show, I wanted to make sure I also mentioned that he's directing a production in New York that's going to happen of the play The Normal Heart, which I'd like to ask you about, and I ask you to talk about a little bit. How did it come about? And you might tell people a little more about
It's the 25th anniversary of The Normal Heart, and I was in it in 1985, and it was a profound experience and a great play, and it's never been on Broadway. And Larry Kramer, who wrote it, who's a genius, has never seen Broadway as a place where he's appreciated. And so it was sort of a thing that we wanted to do for him. And we got great actors, Joe Mantello and John Benjamin Hickey and Michael Stuhlbarg, and they were just all wonderful. And now it's going to be in the Golden Theater for 12 weeks.
And opens when?
It opens April 27th.
And for those of you who don't know, it's this is a play written in 85. That's
Yeah.
right. In the midst of the worst years of the AIDS crisis, in a way, when I saw that play, you always hear that a theater that's angry and that's angry and polemical can't be great theater. This play is angry and polemical and terrific theater, riveting theater. It sort of disproves that, because the issues it deals with were so fierce at the time and so critical and
Personal.
Yeah.
So personal. I mean, people walk into the theater and there were names all over the walls of people who had died.
Right.
And very often people who came to the theater to see the play saw the name of someone they didn't know, they knew very well, but they didn't know was dead.
For quite a few years during that period into the 90s, I did volunteer work. I worked at an AIDS hotline. And in those days, people forget now, especially young people, everyone who was HIV, everyone died. You just assume that everyone who was HIV positive, that's what we thought we were dealing with. Everyone was going to die.
I remember that, because I was, first moved to New York as a dancer, and I'd go to the Equity Building, and I'd go to sign up, for the chorus calls to dance, and right next to the chorus calls was a list of sort of, in memoriam list, and I'd sign up for chorus calls and then go check the list and see if I knew anybody.
Right.
I mean, it's, it was
And
terrifying.
the New York
And you
theater.
inevitably did.
Yeah.
Michael Bennett, the theater community was devastated.
Terrible, unbelievable, incredible. But so that's great. It is. I noticed how terrific the cast was, and boy, but you must be busy. When do you have time to you do that in the daytime and just?
How do you do that?
How do you do that? How do you manage to do this?
Andy has a photo exhibit.
Oh, that's right. We
opening.
have to mention this. Yes.
He's also a wonderful photographer, and he's
At the Museum of the
Museum-
City of New York,
Wow.
on the 11th of April.
Wow.
But I didn't do anything.
I think we've kept you here about as long as we meant to. So I want to thank Sutton Foster, Joel Gray, Kathleen Marshall so much. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you so much.